Well, if you haven't guessed by now, my new Forge showed up. Keep getting confused between Foundry and Forge on this because it's named the A1 Foundry. It's a Forge from Mathewson Metals out of Seattle, Washington. Showed up on my doorstep a while back. Box weighed in at 68 pounds. Thought I was going to be able to open this a little easier, as you'll see, but anyways, welcome back to Chatter on the Wire. Let's take a look at the fun of unboxing, what the Forge ultimately looks like, and in the end, a quick burner test. At this point in time, I have not done the initial burn-in. Still waiting to come up with my plans on that. Okay, taking the top off at this point in time. Got some pictures that I'll add in there if I haven't already. Wow, this is a tight fit in there. And okay, try 2 now with the new battery. What may not have shown up in the last one is I actually have no ability to just pull this straight out. I'm going to have to actually dismantle the whole thing, so we'll be playing with the volume quite a bit here. But first I need to get some stuff out of the way. Doing this in the front room, probably not the wisest thing, but since the wife's not home, I guess this will have to do. And we will be playing with the volume and to get rid of some of this noise afterwards. I'm going to have a lot of cleanup before the wife gets home. But I think it'll be well worth it. What I really have to do is keep from getting, oops, well, hey. Have to really keep us getting scratched from any of these brads sticking all the way out. Okay, so before I go any farther, let's refocus the camera and look at this a little closer, or take it off the tripod and we'll look around from all angles. See if we can zoom out, get this a little better. But here we have the burner that came with this. I did get a note from him that, actually just earlier today, that the braided cord, or the, wow, been a long day, a long week. The braided hose that goes on this and the pressure gauge is being drop shipped separately than this. I really need to look for another lens for my wife's camera here, or look for a different camera. If anyone has a camera that they love, let me know. I'm looking for something in the $150 to $200 range max. But we do have a nice solid hinge here. After watching one of the other guys here recently have problems with that, I'm going to be careful on how much weight I actually leave on that long term. But I have a few different plugs here. Everything else has some directions. I will be looking to fire this up hopefully this weekend. This forge has a diameter of 12 inches. The outside 1 inch is the ceramic fiber insulation blanket. On top of that, it has 1 inch of refractory cement to give you a burning or inside radius of 8 inches. The lid, which is 12 inches in diameter, is also 3 inches or just shy of 3 inches thick. I'm not sure if that is solid the whole way through or if it has a 1 inch ceramic blanket in the middle. The diameter of the hole in the lid is just over 3.5 inches. It's about the perfect size to feed aluminum cans through, though I do not plan on melting cans in this forge at all, but we'll see what happens down the road. The inside height looks like it's about 8 3/4 inches tall. The finish you can see here, while not completely smooth, is quite nice all the way around. So from the ground, the forge is about 14.5 inches tall. The bottom of this, which I did not take a picture of, is actually rounded. If you look at about the outside edge where it starts to round up to the top, the overall height is right at 12 inches. Now we'll take a look at what the forge looks like from the outside. There's 2 very solid handles on either side of it, with another single handle on the lid. The lid handle is a little off center, as you can see. This makes it much easier to lift just with the weight distribution. We can also take a look at the burner inlet and the bolts that hold the burner in place. Now we can take a look at the hinge. Well, this is not nearly as solid as some I've seen out there. It doesn't seem as flimsy as some of the other ones I've seen. We'll see how well it holds up over the course of the next 6 months, year, whatever, as I use this. I am going to try to make sure that I am careful on not opening it up all the way and let all the weight sit on that. The overall forge is 70-ish pounds in total weight, and I would say that lid being 3 inches thick is a large part of that. Here we can take a look into the burner inlet. You can see that ceramic blanket on the inside underneath the refractory cement. Again, nothing special here, but just gives you a little better look at what it looks like through there, and you can actually see that the ceramic blanket there. So we'll take one last look at the inside of this forge. Here you have a number 3 4-kilogram Foundry clay graphite crucible. Let's try to say that a few more times fast. Anyways, a number 3 4-kilogram crucible, and on this other one we have a number 8 10-kilogram graphite crucible. As you can see, the 10-kilogram one is not going to work for inside of this forge. It should work fine in my big charcoal one. I haven't ever got around to making tongs for this anyways, so this will probably just sit in my garage for a while. If anyone can give me a good rundown on the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 type deal. I understand the weight side of it with 4 kilogram or 10 kilogram, but I've never quite understood what the starting number is, and I've seen some that confuse me. So every time I thought I understood this, I think I've been proven wrong. So if someone knows exactly how all this is handled on the crucibles, please let us know in the comments below. So the regulator showed up about 4 days, maybe 5 days after the forge did. It actually worked out quite well because I hadn't had time to play with this at all. Besides getting the unboxing done, it did just all sit in the corner in the house where I took most of the video and the pictures here. Anyways, the regulator showed up. It has a metal braided hose on this. I'm not sure if that's great. It has its own issues. The one thing with this regulator, as you can see from this picture, is there is no pressure gauge on it. You have very fine control with this regulator, but it's really hard to tell where you might be in that 0 to 30 psi. If anyone has any take on the braided stainless or the stainless steel braided hose versus a more conventional one, please let me know. I am in the market now to buy a new regulator that has a pressure gauge on it, so I have a little better idea of where we're at. Anyways, here you can see a little more on the hose and what it looked like. The overall length on this hose was right at 4 feet, and here you can see it actually hooked up to the burner. This actually all sat in my house for probably another 3 or 4 days after it initially showed up. I was home by myself, kind of like when I actually got the Forge there. The rest of the family had other things going on in the evening. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to fire this up on my own, since part of the reason I had stuck to charcoal in the past was, and why I actually bought a pre-made one here, is I've never been a huge fan of propane, and was a little on the nervous side about firing this up the first time. So as nervous as I may have been, it was time to finally bite the bullet, hopefully not literally, and get this hooked up and get it tested out. So let's take a look at the first initial burn. So I have currently bought 2 new crucibles, one that's going to be used for copper, one for brass. I didn't want to risk mixing metals at all at this point in time. Also, the current crucible I have that I've been using for aluminum for the past, 2-3 years is damaged, to say the least, from being buried in the charcoal and stuff. So have some new crucibles on order. Once those get in and once I have some time, I'll actually do a new melt, and here in the near future I hope to actually pick up a bunch of either Delphi clay or something like that, so I can actually start making some things instead of just ingots. Below there should be a link to the A1 Foundry that I purchased. We will see how this stands up over a few tests here in the near future, but overall I've been very happy with my interaction with the owner and the maker of this forge. Hopefully there will be some new videos here in the next week or two on me actually utilizing it. Thanks for joining me.